Welcome to The Trader, a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast recaps and analyses every episode of The Traitors, not just here in the UK, but around the world. This season of the podcast is dedicated to The Traitors UK Series 4. We'll be recapping the main events, analysing the strategy and the gameplay, and then in our shorter follow-up episode, we will address your theories and observations and questions. In every episode, I will be joined by a special guest co-host, and today I am joined by a reality TV strategy expert. Let's meet him. We are joined today by David Bloomberg. David, welcome back to the pod. I described you there as a reality TV expert. Tell us a little more about who you are, even though many of our listeners know absolutely who you are.
Yes, for those who don't know me, I've been covering reality TV for over 25 years. When you played my voicemail in episode 1, you shortchanged me by 5
I know.
years there. Although you said over, so it's still technically true. But that includes over 10 years on podcasts, and before that, online and newspaper columns on my own reality TV websites. Plus, I currently post reality TV videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram as at David Bloomberg TV, and, pretty much talk about the topic wherever anyone will listen.
And because you are so familiar with these shows, David, it does unfortunately for me mean that you are also very good at our podcast game, The Traitor. We are going to play a game that puts Traitor viewers' claims to the test, that they could easily spot the lies and deceptions of the other players. So this is our game of secrecy and betrayal here on the pod. The challenge for David and I for the remainder of this episode is to tell a lie to one another, and to you. The lie has to be a fabrication or a made-up fact, big or small, about the traitors or about anything. For example, I could lie to David and say that I had the outcome of this episode spoiled for me before I watched it, which is not true, although I did have the outcome of another episode spoiled for me. However, I couldn't lie and say that I totally suspected Hugo was going to be banished when I didn't really personally suspect this. That would be a fake opinion and also a bit of a spoiler if you didn't know what happened in this episode. So we're looking for, if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you know what happens. We're looking for fake facts and false pieces of information in our game rather than fake thoughts and feelings. Listeners, it's time to put your skills to the test and see if anything lights up your radar before David and I play Traitor Hunter in the next listener Q&A episode right after this, where we'll reveal our lies. David, are you ready to probably win again?
Well, not quite ready. Hold on, I have to change into my secret disguise. Ha! I am the secret traitor.
I knew it. I knew that figure in that cloak was familiar. Now it all makes sense. David, there were clues there all along. Although your cloak has changed color, but maybe that's just a trick of...
That's why I have the red under. It's somewhat hidden. I didn't want to be too obvious.
Of course.
And let me tell you, I didn't realize how difficult it was to find a red shirt because I don't own any. Because I am a Cubs fan, and the Cardinals, our hated enemies, are red. So I just don't have. As it happens, this is a Cubs shirt because their backup color is red. But so.
Good enough. Well, David, unless that was your lie, I think our game begins now. Haha, if that was your lie, I've caught you. And today, of course, we are going to be getting into the epic episode 3 of the Traitors UK Series 4. Before we do, a few things to cover. Number one, I have to apologise for I had a little audio problem in episode 1. Some of you noticed, hey, something sounds a little bit different or unusual. I kind of had an issue with some technical features that ended up sort of clipping Lindsay's voice here and there. That's not Lindsay's mic, it's my problem with recording, and Lindsay is so nice that at the end, when we realised, she offered to just do another 2.5 hours and record the whole thing again, and I said no, I will try and do my best to sort it. So if you noticed some strange sounds there, it shouldn't happen again. I want to come back to something in episode 2. Magica and I spoke about Nettie and Ross and their friendship, their connection, and both of us thought that they hadn't really covered the nature of the friendship. Like, how did they actually know each other? One or two people commented on YouTube and said, oh, they did actually mention something. And apparently on Uncloaked, they talked about it a little bit more, or Nettie talked about it. So Sarah G on YouTube says, yes, on Uncloaked, they had a mutual friend who I think was a basketball coach. Ross is a personal trainer, knew him. And I think she went to his classes. They met through this guy. They were in the same group of friends. So they did talk about it a little, and then Nettie elaborated on Uncloaked. There we go. I also just wanted to recap our guesses so far of who Secret Traitor might be. Lindsay guessed it was Ellie or Ross. I initially thought Ellie. Last time I switched to Harriet. David, you sent us your voice note. You reckoned it was Amanda straight off. Magiker went for Amanda or Sam. And maybe they'll change their minds again before episode 4. Maybe I'll change my mind in the course of this episode. Before we move into episode 3, David, you must have lots of thoughts on the first 2 episodes and the big twist, the Secret Traitor. Tell us what you've been thinking so far of the series.
Yeah, I've definitely been enjoying the season so far. I even had already picked a favorite traitor, because I enjoyed their sense of humor, and they seemed to understand how to not act when it wasn't necessary. And that favorite traitor was Hugo.
Hugo, yeah.
I even made a video about him, and I posted it. And because of time difference, it was like an hour before this episode aired in the UK. And 2 different people replied or commented to spoil the episode for me.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, dummies. Hello, I'm in the US. I am almost certainly not watching it live. I know a few people do, but most of us in the US do not watch it live. And this wasn't the case. I'm normally the type who say, if you want to avoid being spoiled, stay off of social media. It's your own responsibility. This was not the case. This was not me randomly coming across something. These were directed at me. They literally popped up as notifications on my phone. I could not see them.
Yeah.
And then I had a third one also do the same thing. And so, yeah. And that's one thing about having it air 3 days a week. It moves fast.
Yes.
I was like, okay, I have time to post this. I'm sure he'll be good for, a little while. Nope. And even aside from spoilers, I noticed in the first episode that the show revealed that the Judy and Roxy relationship right away. Right. And I figured, that must mean one of them is going soon. And I had a video all made. I was ready to post and declare this and make my prediction and be like, I know that one of them will be going soon. But I thought that they'd make it past 1 banishment, and I didn't have a chance to post it before the second episode. And so what could have been a great prediction went completely to waste. Yeah. So it just moves too fast.
It does,
especially being 6 hours behind you.
Yeah, and you're gonna come across this issue like later this week because US Traitor starts. They're dropping 3 episodes in one night, so there'll be an awful lot to consume, and I think then 2 the next week. So it's a lot to sort of get through and avoid spoilers, even when you are trying to. So. Listeners, beware.
At least for that, I'll watch all 3 episodes, so I'll know not to make a video that predicts something in the 3rd episode or 2nd episode that doesn't happen.
Yes, I'll have to be very careful with that one.
Yeah. So, now getting to, you had already mentioned the voicemail that I sent in for episode 1 that Amanda was my immediate pick as the Secret Traitor because of a number of factors, including that she has the perfect background. She was one of a relatively few others who we saw being interviewed by Claudia before the traitor choosing. And the biggest reason that I've noticed at least 3 instances of the camera lingering on her while or immediately after someone mentions the Secret Traitor. And I've indeed posted 2 videos on that exact topic already. And yes, I know some people think it's just too obvious. There's no way they would make it that obvious. That could be true. But as Jericho said in the Traitors Canada, Sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer.
Absolutely.
So now, with that said, I would pick Sam as my second choice because some of his confessionals have been a bit hinky. Now,
Yes.
this is something you may not know. So originally, I thought they would need to have the secret traitor lie in confessionals, which
Yes.
did not thrill me.
Yeah, I
But
felt the same.
Harry Ali 94 commented on one of my Instagram videos to say Richard Osman, who I gather is a British TV presenter.
He's a presenter, he's a writer, and he's also, before he was a presenter, really he's a TV producer. He works in the
Okay.
world of unscripted TV, yes, yes. And he
Okay.
hosts like the biggest entertainment podcast in the UK called The Rest is Entertainment, and they talk a lot about the traitors. Yeah.
So almost as big as this one. Podcast.
Almost, not quite,
Almost,
but yes, they wish.
Um, so apparently he spoke to producers, and the producers said the secret traitor never lied in confessionals. They just edited what the secret traitor said to take out the obvious parts, which is what leads me back to Sam as a possibility. He's not my pick, but he's a possibility because he said things like how desperately he wanted a shield without explaining why. Like, do you want it because you think you're not safe, or could it be to avoid suspicion for not being on the short list?
Yeah. Yeah, I that makes sense. I just assumed he was a bit cocky, but I think at the time I
Could
did
be.
question with Magiker, why does he think he needs one? Is
Right.
he just unaware that people are being a bit irritated by him? So, but yes, maybe it is. Maybe he's a secret traitor.
Yeah. And then finally, speaking again of the secret traitor, one thing I've noticed that we're missing with them, with them making the list, is the why behind each person. So I mostly enjoy the twist. I know some people don't. I mostly enjoy it, but I miss this because we always heard, well, this person is a possibility for this reason and this person for this reason. Here we just get a list. Why those three people? We have no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they could have had like the secret traitor behind the screen with a voice modulator or something. Now, they'd have to be vague because they can't say things like, I want this person gone because they've been saying my name, because that might give away who it is. But I still think even something general would be better than the seemingly random list we get now.
Yeah. And I wonder if that, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I wonder if that might answer some of our listener questions about why the secret traitor is already being revealed. And I have a few reasons why I reckon it can't possibly last more than half the series. Maybe this is one of those reasons.
Yeah. And also, I think that this adds some credence to my idea about the camera shots on Amanda.
Yeah.
Like, if they knew it was only going to go 3 episodes, they need to give those clues pretty darn quickly.
Yeah.
And so even though we may be calling it obvious, they may have been like, well, we need to make it fairly obvious. So let's do that and see what happens.
Yes, sure. I mean, there might be another practical reason why the secret traitor is being revealed at this point, but we'll probably talk about that as we come towards the end of our episode recap. David, what other thoughts do you have about the show so far?
I think that about covers the main ones so far.
Oh, I thought there was like you warned me, like I've got lots of thoughts. I
just went through them quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Machine gun through them.
Okay, cool. And again, we'll probably go through the episode, and other things may come to you, David. So with that, I think we are ready to go ahead with a recap of the main events in episode 3 of Traitors UK Series 4. Let's recap what we need to know. We've got our traitors. We don't know the secret traitor. Nettie's been murdered, which has thrown major suspicion on Ross. But it's Judy who was banished with an overwhelming vote at the first main round table. Reese, Ben and Maz are shortlisted for murder by the secret traitor, leading the main traitors to assume that a woman is the secret traitor. And I was going to make a note of who had shields last time, and I couldn't remember them all. One of them is Amanda. Who are the others, David? Can you remember off the top of your
I
head?
didn't make a note because it doesn't really matter because you get the short
Exactly.
list. The short list
Yeah.
narrows it down already, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I wrote Amanda and then I just stopped writing because I sort of was like, nah, we don't actually really need to know in the end. So, hey, we start off the episode in the turret. We're still there. The traitors are still going over their shortlist, getting a bit of a repetition of last night. They say that, well, Ben, he's got no link back to them, but it does link to Ross because Ben had named Ross as maybe someone that might want to murder him, and they think that Ben's murder would rock the castle. And they think about Reese. Well, Reese voted randomly for Adam. Could that be useful? Could it implicate Adam? And then they talk about Maz and simply say he hasn't received any votes yet, meaning looks like he's not under suspicion. Is he ever going to be? Do we really need people here who are never going to get banished? Maybe we should just get rid of him.
Yeah.
They decide to apparently go for someone that will really rock the boat and create chaos. And Sue, cliche klaxon, we hear this all the time from the traitors. This one's really gonna rock the castle. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
I love that Clash hit, Rock the Castle,
Yeah, yeah, it's a great one. Did you could lie, David? Did you have any predictions about who was going to go here?
I didn't because I didn't really have a good feel for any of them. And, again, like I said, with the Secret Traitor, we don't know why they named them. And so they're all pretty much the same to me. I mean, we there, I have to tell you, there's a bunch, these three are not, well, one of them is, but there's a number of times where I'll be looking at a group and I'll be like, I know them and I know them and I know them and generic white guy and I know them and I know them and I know them. And there's like 3 or 4 generic white guys in there. And I just haven't, figured out who's who yet.
Yeah, I keep mixing up some of the names in my notes. Ben, Adam, James. Yes, I'm not.
Well, James is easy.
Familiar enough with I guess James stands out. And...
Yeah, James, aka David Tennant, is easy. So
yes. I guess I don't need to worry about remembering Ben's name for too much longer.
That's very true. Yes.
And at the end of our episode 2 recap, Magica predicted Maz might go. I predicted Ben would be murdered. Ooh, let's see what happens. It's breakfast. First group arrive. Jade is still really annoyed with Amanda after their beef yesterday and is telling Amanda that she reminds her of a scary school teacher. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that description. And Amanda's saying, it's just a game. Come on, not a big deal. But Jade is taking it all a little bit to heart. She's saying, well, I know, but I just found it all a bit overwhelming. And so there's still a bit of tension between these two. Next group arrives. Stephen is here, one of our traitors. He is still very stressed about the secret traitor, very focused on finding them, especially because he thought it was Judy, and now that theory is gone, so he doesn't know where to look. Sam thinks that he's now going... Well, Sam says a few things here. One of them is that he thinks he's going to be seen as a threat after yesterday because he really put himself out there at the round table, and so the traitors will be scared of a vocal person. And I think he's wrong. I think actually you made yourself look like someone who's totally wrong, so the traitors will probably quite like that.
Yeah.
And generally the traitors like people who are mouthy and too confident and draw lots of attention. So actually, Sam, I think the traitors don't see you as a threat. I think they're quite happy to have you around. He also recognises correctly, I think, that last night's round table was probably an easy one for the traitors. So many people voted for Judy, it would be really easy to hide amongst those numbers, jump on the voting bandwagon, which I think is pretty much what happened, with the exception of Rachel, because Rachel voted for Ross. She's trying to push the theory about Ross murdering Nettie and so on.
Right.
Rachel then arrives at breakfast. She's still focused on not standing out, blending in, no overreacting to anything, well, like Stephen, still remaining observant, trying to find secret traitor. We've got Matt talking to the group about Hugo. Hugo hasn't arrived yet, and he's saying, it's not just Matt, but a lot of them are talking about Hugo. But Matt is saying, well, I wouldn't want to argue with him at the round table. He's a barrister. He must be very clever. He must be very articulate. He'll be good at putting a case forward. And Stephen, I think, trying to protect Hugo, says, well, maybe he's waiting. He's building his case. He's building his evidence. He'll come in later and attack when he feels like he's really confident about a suspect. And then we get this really important moment. Harriet is sitting beside Rachel, and they're having their own little talk. And Harriet's saying, I'd have thought the traitors would want rid of this hotshot barrister, implying it's a bit odd he's still here. Is he a traitor? This is, I said in the last episode of the pod that I'd switched to Harriet. Most stuff that Harriet says here makes me believe even further that she's the secret traitor. I could be way off, and I probably am, but I just thought this was quite my theory at this point is Harriet's the secret traitor, and her tactic is get one of the other traitors out because she knows exactly who they are, and I think she's trying to get Rachel on side. That's what I think is going on here. It seems like a huge leap for her to make in episode 3. This guy's a barrister. Why haven't the traitors got rid of him? I'm going to go for him at the round table tonight, and she's correct. Maybe it's just a hunch, and she's smart. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. First of all, this is why some people hide that they're lawyers.
Yes.
And in the moment, I forgot Harriet was one of those people, that she is a lawyer who is hiding that she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me more of a season of Survivor, and I can't remember the number, but there was a guy who was an elevator salesman, and he found out that someone else, a woman, was a salesperson. And he started spreading around. You can't trust her. She's a salesperson. Salespeople they'll sell you on anything. You can, they'll make you believe anything. So it's, it reminds me of that she's the lawyer. She doesn't want another lawyer around because she knows what he can do, and it's something she can use against him.
Yeah.
So it is a good point that she happens to be talking to Rachel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely could be that, and I am utterly wrong. Yes. Yeah. I mean, will be.
I often mock people who lie about their professions, but there are some times when it can make sense, and lawyer is one of those.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it sounds like we didn't see it. But like even Harriet said something about he's a hotshot barrister. Well, how did he introduce himself? Or how did he, I don't remember him on the train. Like, did he say, oh, I'm a barrister for this, highfalutin law firm, and I do this and this and this. I don't remember how he did that, or if it was just in various casual conversations, like, oh, what kind of lawyer are you? Well, actually, I defend the rich and famous, or I have these huge cases that I have tried, or whatever, that made him even stand out more, in which case, no, don't do that. Don't make yourself stand out more. So, yeah. And then in this game, of course, another that you should hide, another job is detective, which Jack actually points out by saying, imagine if one of them were a secret detective. Cut to Amanda.
Yeah, exactly. They're all like, oh, wouldn't that be hilarious? And she's just sort of quietly eating breakfast, avoiding anyone. Yes, that did make me laugh. One more thing about Harriet that you made me realize there is, if it is just that she's a faithful, and she's just you trying to get rid of that person who claims to be a convincing barrister, I still wonder, well, there only have been 2 murders. In fact, at this point, she doesn't even know who's, well, Hugo's not in the room yet, so she doesn't know that he's going. So only one person's been murdered by the traitors. It's just kind
Well,
of
I mean,
very
that's
early for
why.
Harriet to say, why haven't they got rid of him yet?
Yes. Well, but she starts with, if he's here, I would
Yeah.
wonder,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then later continues into why haven't they
Mm,
got rid of him yet?
yeah.
But it's, yes, I was thinking the same thing, that this we've seen this before, like focusing either on, usually it's on themselves, like, I
Hmm.
don't understand why they're keeping me around when I'm such a big threat. And it's kind of like, well, because you're not. So yes, I mean, but again, if Harriet is a lawyer, she may see someone like her as
Yeah.
a big threat and wonder the same thing. It's almost main character syndrome by proxy.
Mm, yes, could be.
Uh, so
Yes. Next, Hugo does actually arrive and
with
comes in
David
with
Tennant.
Jane, with David Tennant, jumping
Yes.
around,
Yes.
doing way too much. And, it's easy for me now to see in retrospect maybe why they include the following clip of Hugo in his MIV, his confessional. Hugo says, they say
Yes.
pride comes before a fall, but so far everything is going really in favor of the traitors.
Yeah, nothing could possibly happen.
Yeah, it's all
It's
good.
He feels
So
great. He's perfectly safe.
yeah, I've watched the episode a couple of times. First time I just laughed because I thought, Hugo, it's been 2 days, not that much has happened. And then I watched it back and thought, okay, that's why they put the clip in here.
And
Okay,
yeah. And of course I
maybe I
was
should have
spoiled,
realized.
so I immediately knew when he said
Yeah,
it. I was like, sneaky them putting it in like that.
yes. And again, I'll take this chance to say to listeners, love all your thoughts and questions. Please keep them coming, but just be careful that you don't DM us or tag us and assume that we've watched the episode. Yeah, sometimes people just accidentally spoil it, and
Hmm.
which is frustrating. But some people are fantastic and send messages that say, "I am about to spoil something," and they leave a
Right.
bit of a. So that's really helpful. Thank you. Uh,
Right. Like on
ne-
one of my on one of my videos, someone posted spoiler incoming, and then
yeah,
they replied to their own comment, so it did not show up as a tag to me
yeah,
immediately. Whereas the other ones, two of them were just so eager to tell me I was wrong about Hugo that one posted on Blue Sky and one was on TikTok. And the Blue Sky person got blocked. And I warned him. I said, this sounds like a spoiler. If it is, you're getting blocked. And they never responded. So I presume that meant they were okay with getting blocked.
okay,
Uh,
good.
and they did.
Must be. You stuck to your word. Uh,
Yes.
Following this is what you actually just spoke about, that Harriet continues. She talks to Rachel. Hugo's just come
Hmm.
in. So she's saying again, I would not keep the barrister in. So Rachel, of course, innocently asks, oh, do you think he's a traitor? And Harriet simply says, it plays. It
It
plays.
plays.
Uh,
Yes.
we're left waiting then for the three people we knew were on the murder shortlist, as well as Ellie. She's been thrown in there. Interesting. Various shots of the players theorizing about who might come back, who's murdered, what reasons might there be. And the door knocks, and they come. It's Ellie, Maz, and Reese, meaning that Ben is gone. Hooray! My prediction was correct. Sorry, Ben. Uh, we flash back to the traitors basically last night, choosing Ben for the reason I had predicted, that because of the way he very obviously singled out Ross and said, if I get murdered, look to Ross. Two other traitors were in the room, I think. At least one of them was. Maybe it was just one. Just Stephen, actually.
Stephen for sure. I don't remember if there'll be plenty of discussion of that as we go
Yes, I
along here.
have the list. Yeah, I actually think it is just Stephen. But yeah, at the time I thought, oh, he shouldn't have said that. So
Hmm.
yes, the traitors used it. Ben gets his letter. He's heartbroken, but says, I've won anyway just by playing the game, which is very nice, but Ben, you could have won for real. You don't. It's a shame. Uh, Back at breakfast, Fiona immediately gets right onto the case of Ben and Ross. Ben named Ross last night, but Hugo interrupts to gather everyone's attention and
Oh
take a
God.
moment to commemorate poor Ben. He was so wonderful and valiant, and whoever did this is beyond mean, and shakes his head. And
You know,
Rachel immediately is just horrified at what he's doing, as am I
me too.
watching. Uh,
It's just the reason that I complimented Ben or Hugo in that video I made was for not doing things like this
Yeah.
previously, not drawing unnecessary attention to himself. So what did he do? He made me wrong an hour after I posted. Hugo, dude.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I even tagged him in the Instagram because I thought, oh, here's some nice complimentary video. I'm sure he'll be happy about that. While he was knowing full well what was coming up, and may not have even seen it until after the episode aired, and he's sitting there going, damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was uh just
Let's just hope that Hugo hears this and is desperate to come on to the pod and talk to us about it. You know, quite often, I'll take this chance to say that quite often on the Trader, we get great interviews with previous contestants from different Traitors franchises around the world. But some of you notice that you don't often have many of the UK guests on. It's very tricky to get their PR to allow them on any podcast that is not uncloaked. So maybe you could help pressure them, send them messages, send your favorite contestant messages saying, hey, go on the trainer, ask your PR to let you. We'd love to have them.
almost as
Anyway,
tricky as getting Canadian PR to do
to
something,
reply, yeah.
to reply. Yes. But speaking of Canada, I do want to say, after watching the Traders Canada and their sponsored hot breakfasts, these breakfasts just look so sad in comparison.
Yeah, just sort of some fruit, some cold
Yeah.
things. It's not the same as those lovely, pure and simple breakfasts in
Yes.
Traitors Canada. Yeah, we need a sponsor here in Britain, but it's the BBC, so they won't do that sort of thing. Never mind. I'll have to change to another channel, ITV or something. So at breakfast, urged by Fiona bringing up the whole Ben and Hugo thing, Jesse sort of picks it up again, and I'm wondering, is Fiona the secret traitor? Why is she doing this? She's so quickly on to using Ben's murder to point right back to Ross. What's she up to? I don't know. Claudia soon arrives though, does the usual with the portrait, blah blah blah, gives them their little clue for the mission and asks, do you get the picture? Picture, you say? They all, oh, whisper, picture, picture, something to do with pictures. And there's a few more moments at breakfast. Ross presses Jessie a little further and asks, well, who was there when Ben mentioned me? Who was in the room? She can't quite remember yet, but we will come back to it later. And Ross realizes he's being framed. It's time for some castle reality. Off we go into little groups around the grounds. James does cartwheels out of the castle. I love how they banished Judy for being too cool and calm and not worried about anything. And here's James literally doing cartwheels out of the door.
I mean, there's a reason. I mean, besides just his looks, he's playing into the whole David Tennant thing, I mean,
Maybe he
so
is, yeah. He's being the doctor. He talks to Reese
not just
outside.
the doctor, it's almost every character he plays except that detective on whatever show that was. that went 3 seasons.
Broadchurch, yeah, very stern.
Broadchurch,
but,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, David Tennant, he's quite frenetic, isn't he? James is outside talking to Reese. They're playing badminton, I think. They're talking about his ranking system, and he says Matt is number one, followed by Ross and Amanda. He says, don't look for one, look for a few. Let's make him back to haunt him. Jesse is then with Ross and Matt. They're still focused on Ben's final moments last night, the naming of Ross, who was there. So the people in the room were Ellie, Stephen, Fiona, James, Jesse. So yes, it was just Stephen was the only traitor in the room. And Jesse's a little more sus.
unless one of them is the secret traitor.
Oh, well, yes, so, of course, yes, I'm forgetting.
Which, because
main traitors.
I mean, if we're wrong about who the secret traitor is, and it's, I've seen it, people say Fiona, I've seen people say Ellie. I'll have more to say about Ellie later, but, then the secret traitor would have known, ooh, this is a reason to put Ben on the list. But it could also just be a coincidence.
Yes, and actually one of my underdog guesses for Secret Traitor is one of these people. I've also eliminated Ellie from my list. It might be the same reason as you, David. Later on, Ellie says something that actually makes me think it absolutely isn't her.
Right.
So yes, Jesse, meanwhile, is a little more suspicious of Ellie, and particularly Stephen. I'm not totally sure why he's singled out, but there's something else maybe about him that's making them hone in on him. Matt, there's a little moment of Matt defending him, saying, oh, I just can't imagine it. In the kitchen, Fiona is talking to Amanda, and what seems like, irrelevant small talk actually ends up being quite important. Fiona's saying, "Oh, Amanda, I'm doing what you suggested. I took your advice. I'm focusing on people's body language and facial expressions." Like, first of all, like, whoa, I never thought to do that. Like, it's just so funny that, and I know Fiona's playing the field. She even admits it in her Mev. She's
Right.
like, "Oh, I'm pretending I don't know what's going on." It's just so funny that anyone would be like, "I didn't think to look at people's body language." Like, and I know we've talked a lot about actually. Maybe that's not that reliable, but they're all looking
No.
at each other's body language. Of course they are. They're
Right.
trying to
Well,
read one another's expressions.
I just think it's funny that Amanda, who is trying to keep her past a secret, is giving tips that an undercover detective would
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, that's right. Talking about micro expressions and things. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe she should be playing it down a little more. And we see Harriet reflecting on Hugo in her confessional, and then she's talking to some other players about it.
Mhm.
Again, she's saying she doesn't know why Hugo is leaning so much into his career as a barrister. So yeah, he must be talking about it here and there to other players. She's
Which would
talking
be
to
nice
Ray.
to see, by the way,
Yeah,
production,
yeah,
editors. You have an hour. Show us at least one conversation of him saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a big time lawyer. I do this and this and this." Come on, if it's there, show it. Don't
yeah,
as they say, show, don't tell. But
yeah.
instead, we're getting a lot of telling.
That's true. I mean, there's a little bit of it here with Hugo, but yeah, it would be nice to see before this happened.
Right.
What
Yeah.
what was he
After
doing
it's
before
brought up
this?
to him,
Yeah,
he is kind of put in a position where he has to say something. But yeah, what led to it?
yeah. So yeah, once it's already out there, he's talking to Roxy and Ellie about how they all need to share information, and he's very evidence-based, and he says he's been
Hmm.
writing notes down in his room, and he's keeping a track of who votes for who, and uh, Rachel, though, is unconvinced. She thinks he's in trouble. She talks to Harriet as well about the speech that he gave at breakfast. They found it very well. Rachel knows the truth. Harriet may know the truth, but Harriet
Yeah.
says she just found it hammy, which reminds me of Celebrity UK Traitors and Kate Garraway. It's time for the mission. Claudia's outside the castle. She's got these, well, they're made to look like really old fashioned cameras. Actually, I think they're just like tablets mounted on old wooden tripods. One's red, one's blue, one's green. They are going to split into two teams. 12 will stay in the castle. I don't know why I'm mentioning the red, blue, green because actually those colours don't end up meaning anything. I thought they were going to be in coloured teams. They're not. They just split into two teams. 12 are in the castle. Seven go off to the gallery with Claudia, and only those players may win a shield.
And
Uh,
I thought it was interesting. She specifically says she will announce who,
yeah,
if anyone, gets one,
yeah.
which one, it's good to warn them ahead of time instead of just springing it on them when they
Mm.
think they get it in secret. And two, I wonder if they do this because the secret traitor has to know
Yeah, I
so as
had this
not to
thought
put that person or under normal
accidentally on the shortlist.
circumstances the secret traitor would have to know. And this time they didn't. But um
Yeah,
so
that sort of stuck out to me as well. Yeah.
or maybe
Um,
it's because the real traders had to know because they were putting thumbprints on people and
mm,
you can't do it if they have a shield. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Rachel does what she did in the last mission. I think she asks for a shield quite openly. She's thinking back to the very first mission when her
mhm.
coffin was put in the plot first out of everybody. So she's sort of acting like she's really worried about murder. She needs a shield, but she wants to walk that fine line between appearing too desperate and appearing genuinely faithful. My impression of Rachel is overall she is very clued into the game. I
Mhm.
think she will do a good job. Just the
That's what
way
I
that
said
she's
about
talking
Hugo.
here. That's right. Yeah, it could all. Next episode, Rachel's gone.
Yeah.
I and I think she maybe does make a giant mistake later in this episode, but in the last 5 minutes. But yeah, the way she talks in Miv, she seems to know the game. She talks later about. I don't know if she was kidding. She talked about studying FBI. You know,
Yeah, she talked about that, which by the way, the FBI training course on micro expressions and body language, just as meaningless as every other one, because
Yeah.
there was a Big Brother season where a guy, I think it was, it was 26. A guy was bragging to someone like, "Oh, I took an FBI training course and I know body language and I know that you're lying to me right now." And they were telling the truth. So he
Yeah.
was literally disproving it while he was talking to them. And of course, since Big Brother is live, we were all sitting there watching the live feeds making fun of him.
Yeah, of course.
So,
So yeah, well, maybe Rachel is gonna get it all wrong as well. Who knows?
I
Uh,
mean,
it,
she's a traitor, so it's a little easier for her to get it
of
right.
course, of course. But she doesn't know the secret traitor.
Yes. Yet.
Yet. The challenge itself then is a variation of missions we've sort of seen before. The castle team are going to be looking at descriptions of paintings and then they have to recreate it, photograph themselves posing in particular ways, send it to the gallery team who'd have to match, find the corresponding real painting. £1,000 banked for each painting identified, and they have an hour. Fairly sort of, it's a good fun, there's lots of funny,
Right.
silly moments here. A lot of people have been saying that really made them laugh. Doesn't add lots to the real game, I don't think. Here are some of my highlights. Well, first of all, I will say Faraz, we get little moments of Faraz and Miv here. Probably the most I've seen of him so far. I don't really feel like I knew anything about him. I think he's ruled out as a secret traitor for me. He seems quite very chill, laid back, references the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. His general vibes are not giving me traitor mastermind who's been chosen by production as secret traitor. No, no insult to you, Faraz. Please follow us back. Come on the podcast. I liked Jack as a cow being milked by Faraz, and then Faraz mounting Jack as a horse, and they were having a great time. Claudia says one of the pictures reminds her of a New Year's Eve party she's been to. One important thing that does happen is Reese constantly reminding the others that there's a shield, we have to find the shield, which annoys a couple of the others like James and Adam. Adam is really getting annoyed with Reese going, "Where's the shield? Where's the shield? Go find the shield. Oh my God, oh bloody mission, he's driving me nuts. I think he's faithful, but he's doing things that will make other people think he's a traitor." And I just love Adam's accent. We've got a hot new couple. We've got Harriet and Stephen posing together in one of the pictures. And by the time they do all the photos, apparently they have 1 minute 44 seconds left to find the shield. But Claudia, of course, gives them a little clue and helps them along the way. Adam finds it. Later on, he breaks it. And there's a funny little clip of Fiona saying, "A shield's not my priority. It's early days." And either she's the secret traitor and that's why it's not her priority, or she just
She doesn't
sort
think
of
she'll
maybe
be murdered. Yeah.
doesn't think she'll be murdered, or maybe she's just doing something a bit silly and not realizing actually the shields are really important. Come on, Fiona, find the shield. In the end, they correctly identify 5 of the paintings, which means they've gained £5,000. Hooray! Anything else about the mission, David, before we move back to the castle?
Just the car ride on the way back.
Yes,
Fiona
got a few
was going
things.
on about Hugo. I think it was Fiona, and
Yes.
Rachel says that she's one of the top secret traitor suspects now. So yes, word of Hugo has been spreading to all of now it's not just Harriet, it's Fiona also. So all of the older women are starting to talk about him.
Yes, yes. James talks a little bit more about Reese in the car too and his obsession with the shield. And yeah, Rachel again mentions, she thinks the secret traitor is a female and therefore, it could be Fiona. It's been a couple of times now that the main traitors have talked about the secret traitor being a female. I wonder if they're including that in the edit to throw us and it's not a woman at all. I don't know. I guess we'll know in 4 days or something. Back at the castle then, it's they're all reflecting on the mission. It was good fun today, good atmosphere all round. Jack's in the kitchen talking to some of the guys about how being too quiet is not the sign of a faithful, and Q Sam again saying he feels very confident that everyone believes he's a faithful, and he's in confessional, gives a cheeky little smile to the camera. Again, we've seen that a couple of times. I get it. Either he's a secret traitor and they're giving us these clues, or they're tricking us, or he's delusional, or I wondered, hey, is he about to be banished? And that's why they're showing us this of him saying, hey, I'm a great faithful. But no, we cut to Faraz actually right after this, I think, then saying, I'm suspicious of Sam for these very reasons. He's overconfident. He's desperate to appear, like he's always traitor hunting. There's Harry and Rachel talking again, alone, which further made me think that Harriet is deliberately trying to get Rachel on her own a lot of the time because she knows she's a traitor. I don't know. She says she's absolutely going to come for Hugo tonight. She's not afraid of him being a big character, as Rachel describes him. And yeah, I just wondered, is Harriet, if Harriet's the secret traitor, is this her reaching out to Rachel? Is she trying to build a little alliance so that when she's revealed, they've already got a connection? I don't know. I will say, this has just reminded me. So I'll put the link in the episode description. There's a friend of mine, Max, who has loads of followers on social media, on TikTok particularly. Max watches the Traitors and loves the Traitors and does lots of little comedy sketches and things about various things. But Max posted a really funny video where he was comparing what the Traitors think of the secret traitor versus what the secret traitor thinks of the main traitor. And Max was really, he was saying, here's the main traitors, like, oh, that secret traitor, oh, they're out to get us, oh, I don't know if we can trust them. And then he cuts to like the secret traitor being like, I can't wait to meet the main traitors, we're going to be best friends. So Max does it hilariously. I'll post a link to the clip. I saw it on Instagram, it's good fun. So this made me think of that. There's a big chat, actually there's something else. This is where Rachel talks about the FBI training and so on. Big chat in the kitchen. It's Fiona talking about Amanda's advice again. She's been following it. Apparently Amanda also suggested that they monitor changes in behavior. Think about how were people on that first day when we met them versus how are they now and how were they after the traitors were chosen. Again, this is not groundbreaking. Like, people, that's one of the main things that all of the players do. It's not like Amanda's told them this thing they would have never thought of on their own. But Fiona's bringing it all back to Hugo. She's saying he was very outgoing and boisterous on the train, and then he became really quiet, but then at breakfast today he was back to being outspoken and so on. Hugo's just like trying to defend himself, saying, I just wanted to remember Ben. And then he tries to steer it all back to Amanda. He's like, oh, she's stirring things. She's targeting me. She was targeting Jade yesterday. It's her. She's doing this to me. And finishes by saying to the group, he's going to show them at the round table tonight how, I don't know, how clever he can be or something. And I think at this point, it already just isn't looking that good for Hugo. I knew that he was going to get at least some votes tonight. I have one more note before the round table. Maybe I've missed something that we see a little bit of Jesse talking to Stephen again about this Ben thing. And Stephen is, first of all, he acts very shocked and awestruck at the idea that, oh my goodness, Ross has been framed by someone who was in the room. And they go through all the players who were in the room, and Stephen realizes, oh, this doesn't look good for me.
Yeah.
I was there, and they realize exactly what I've done. So he reckons this is his first big mistake, and yes, it could well be.
Yeah.
We head to the round table, and as we go in, a couple of confessionals I think give me the impression that yes, things are going towards Hugo tonight, because Stephen is saying, oh, I might have to think very carefully about my vote. I might have to end up voting for Hugo. And Harriet is saying, yeah, she's going to come for him. She knows it's a bit risky, but she's going to be the secret barrister going for the real barrister. And then I started to doubt myself. I thought, no, maybe she's not the secret traitor. She's just, why are they showing us all of this? She's describing herself as the secret barrister. No, surely the secret traitor.
Just to mess with you. Just to mess with you.
No, yeah. Who knows? And they come, Claudia arrives, gives them their speech, riles them up. The prize fund is £23,750. Discussion opens, and Harriet immediately goes for Hugo. She says she is going to write his name down tonight, and her reasoning is yes, he should have been targeted by the traitors already, and she's heard other players saying they're too intimidated to take Hugo on. So if other people are saying that, then yes, lots of people must think he's a big character. So why haven't the traitors done something about it? Hugo says,
Yeah.
you know,
This is well with Harriet. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like you're assuming that everyone thinks like you do when you
yeah,
say this. If she's not the secret traitor, and like you said earlier about Sam, maybe the traitors want the barrister there to cause arguments.
yeah.
And then he even noted a contradictory criticism was that he didn't fight enough at the round table yesterday.
Yes.
So it's like, how can you criticize? And she says, yes, add that on to the tally. It's like, wait, you can't add that on. It's like you argue too much and not enough at the same time. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. I wonder if he just expressed it in a strange way. I'm not sure. He says also, you know, I've come in here with a kind heart. I just want to help everyone. If I was going to throw my weight around, I would have done a lot more already. And it says, well, you certainly did at breakfast. And Ross then speaks up to talk about the Ben situation, Ben Gate, I'll call it. He asks, right, who was in the room when Ben named me? And he's laying out the idea that he's been framed. And he again singles out Stephen. And I don't totally know why Stephen is the one out of those like 5 people that he's going for. Stephen defends himself here, and I don't completely follow it. I mean, I do think also Stephen is panicking. Stephen says, I think the traitors handed you a lifeline, Ross. It's way too obvious. It would be so stupid for the traitors to murder Ben after you said that. I don't really know what Stephen means there. I don't know why Stephen thinks
he's trying to say the obvious is never the right answer. That of course it's obviously a frame job, so that must mean that you're not a traitor. So they did you a favor by doing this.
Yes. Right. But he's not helping himself, is he? He's still kind of admitting, yes, I could be a traitor in that room.
Yeah, I think he's just,
It's funny. Yeah, his way of attacking the situation is to say, Ross, you should be happy, stop talking, rather than here's why it's not me. And Ross even says, well, yes, I think I've caught you out because you, if you're a traitor, you assumed that everybody knew what Ben had been saying about me, but everyone didn't. It was only the people in the room at that time.
Yeah.
And I looked back, Ben didn't vote for Ross at the previous banishment. He actually voted for Judy along with everybody else. It was only afterwards, I think he was like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have voted for her. I should have voted for Ross. Roxy speaks up. She's suspicious of James, which takes him aback. And maybe it's time for the klaxon again. James does that thing, even though he says he's not doing that thing, which is, well, I think it's you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think it's you, Roxy. And Reese. He throws out Reese because of the thing with the shield during the mission. Reese going on about it all the time. Reese then fights back and says, well, James, I'm confused about why you keep naming Matt as your number one suspect, yet you didn't vote for him yesterday and you've not said anything about him so far. And yeah, James talks about Reese more and the shield. Reese says, well, look, I'm just an assertive person. I'm a boxing coach. I want to keep everyone on track. I wanted to remind everyone about the 2 elements of the mission. And he says to James, I actually don't think you're a traitor. I just think you're a bad faithful. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, apart from looking like David Tennant, any other thoughts on James? I mean, do you think
I mean, he's being wild like David Tennant too in many situations. Many of his roles is just all over the place. Like, yeah, he literally told Reese, here's my list, and then brings up Reese and someone else who wasn't on that list, which just gives Reese ammunition to use against him. If he had just not brought up Reese, if he had just named Reese, not Reese and Roxy, then the obvious answer and response is, well, I wasn't going to tell you I was suspicious of you. But why didn't you mention Roxy then?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's not helping himself at all. He's just throwing everything out there. He said, well, you can't just look at one person. You have to look at a whole bunch. Okay, but maybe don't name every single one of them.
Yeah, and it's not really helping like the group come
Yeah,
to come to a consensus.
right.
Rachel brings everything back to Ross. She's sticking with that, it seems, or this fake rationale that Ross has pulled a double bluff. He killed Nettie all along. Fiona then comes to Amanda and says, Amanda, you told me to think about how people behaved on the train versus now. And I'm sorry, Hugo. She says, yes, he's changed. She doesn't want to vote off a Welshman, but she can't ignore the changes in his behaviour. And again, Hugo tries to turn it all around on Amanda, says
Well,
that she's pulling the strings.
what was interesting was Amanda tried to interrupt Fiona, and
Mm.
Hugo stopped her, saying, but it's like, Hugo, why are you stopping her from interrupting the train of thought that is pointing to you? Let them
Yeah,
go. Let them go. Let them fight. Maybe it'll distract. Who knows?
yeah, good
But
point.
yeah, and then, I think Fiona is the one who says he hasn't brought anything to the table. And he says the only person that he's seen pulling strings is Amanda. And she says, you're deflecting, which he
Yeah,
absolutely is.
yes. And Amanda even says, she came to me. I just gave her advice that I've been giving to everyone. Like, I didn't pull any strings. I
I
didn't
just,
target
yeah,
Fiona.
I just gave
Uh,
her advice like any other undercover detective would do. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, of course. Claudia then closes discussion, and yes, it's not looking good for Hugo. So here we go with the vote. Faraz begins and votes for Sam. He did tell us earlier that he was suspicious of Sam for being too vocal. Roxy votes for James. Yep, she said she was probably going to do that. Then it's Stephen, and after the longest pause and a big explanation, which kind of makes it obvious to me what he's about to do. Yes, he turns
Mm,
on his fellow traitor, votes for Hugo. Cut to Hugo in confessional. What on God's green earth has just occurred? Like he's mind blown that Stephen's done this to him. Next up is Ellie, who votes for Hugo. She doesn't like the breakfast speech. It was too weird. Jack votes for Reese, and Jack, who's Jack? I'm forgetting people. Jack is yes, glasses in the mission, milking he was the cow. Yes, he doesn't
ge-
like the way that Reese
generic,
randomly voted.
generic white guy.
He's one of the lads. One of the lads.
One
He
of the lads.
doesn't
Yes.
like the way that Reese voted for Adam last time, and it seemed a bit strange. Amanda votes for Jade, which is really funny because I don't think anyone else cares about Jade right now, but it's very much giving me Lisette from Traitors Canada. She's like she's picked someone, she's sticking to it no matter what. Anyone who watched Traitors Canada, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. James is next and votes for Reese. Okay, yep, adds up. But it's a bit of a split so far. The vote count: Hugo has two, Reese has two, James one, Jade one, Sam one. So quite evenly spread. But maybe that's why they
Yeah.
started the table here to
Yep.
make us think, oh, it could go anywhere. Actually, after this, it all just slides in Hugo's direction. Sam votes for Hugo. Hugo votes for Amanda, which at first I thought was such. I thought it was a real wasted vote. I thought, who else is going to vote for Amanda? A couple of people actually do after
Yeah.
this, but I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Maybe it was the best he could do. There wasn't really any other clear front runner up against him, so he probably didn't make a difference what he was going to do. Matthew votes for Hugo. Jesse votes for Amanda. Interesting. Reese, Harriet, almost everybody else votes for Hugo, with the exception of Rachel. She doesn't turn on her fellow traitor. She's sticking with the Ross narrative that she's built up. And Jade
Well, you know
also
why
voted
Rachel
for
votes for Ross? She doesn't believe that they were on break.
exactly Rachel and Ross. Every time I see those two names together, it's all I can think of.
Yeah.
And Jade voted for Amanda.
Amanda. Yeah.
But yes, everybody else is Hugo.
Hmm.
Including, Fiona. She says, I want you to be a traitor, but I'm gutted you're a Welsh boy. Hugo is gone. He stands up to give his speech and says, guys, you're sending someone home who has the forensic skills to find the traitors. You're all super smart people. I'll never have an experience like this again. I am a traitor.
Apparently, traitor equals rock and roll.
Yeah,
Ah!
apparently, yeah. Hooray! Off he goes. And at least he gave it a big fun
Yeah.
speech at the end, and they
Yes.
all
Yes.
celebrate. Yeah. I wonder, does this clear Stephen for now? He voted for Hugo. Was that maybe that was a good way to save himself? I don't know. Until what happens later, maybe. Yes, celebration's all right. Claudia congratulates them, but tells them don't relax for too long. Of course, there will be more twists and turns on the way. Although not a murder tonight. Stephen, yes, is telling us in his miv that he just didn't expect to vote for a fellow traitor this early on, and he says it's thanks to Harriet's eloquent arguments. Is this significant that Harriet was so eloquent? We'll find out soon. We leave the round table, we debrief. Rachel is relieved that Hugo's gone. She's like, I actually didn't really need to do anything at all. I thought I would have had to be so much more proactive than this. But laying low so far, she thinks is going
Yeah.
fairly well for her.
She basically did what Hugo said last episode, going back to Sun Tzu, saying, don't interfere with an enemy when he's making a mistake,
Yeah,
which he
absolutely.
then violated and broke. But she picked up. So, at least
Yes.
someone is following it.
Yeah. Harriet is, again, she's in her confessional now. It worked. She got rid of Hugo. She's laughing. Oh my goodness, the secret barrister got rid of the real barrister they all know about. And some interesting wording. She says, it secured my position as a faithful. What does this mean? Secured my
Hmm.
position as a faithful?
Hmm.
Very ambiguous. Sam and Adam are focusing on something Hugo said, very specific. His words about Amanda. He
Oh,
says,
yes.
Amanda has played a much better game than me. And they wonder, is it traitor on traitor? Was he trying to drop a little hint there? And Amanda is talking about that very thing in the kitchen because I think some other people bring it up to her. Matt is warning her, be careful. Maybe this has just landed you in a bit of a problem. There's a moment, there's a little scene between Ellie and Ross.
Well, but she also says, remember that everything he said was a lie. And it's like, no, no, just because he's a traitor doesn't mean everything he said was a lie. Um, but she notes that he went for her because she went for Jade. So she's trying to refocus people's attention on Jade. Like, oh, he was
Yeah,
clearly protecting fellow traitor Jade.
yeah,
But yeah, the whole everything he said was a lie. No, not necessarily.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I
She's
mean, I
desperately
understand what she's saying.
trying to save
Right.
herself.
Yeah.
And he said he was a traitor. That was the truth. That wasn't a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of speculation online that Ellie and Ross are a secret couple, and I kind of could believe this one. I'm on this one. There's lots of theories about lots of the players being connected, and
Oh,
who
yeah.
knows? But
Faraz and
this is the one.
Maz.
Yeah,
Who
I'm
else?
sticking with this
Yeah.
one. Look, there's people saying that yes, there's some of the older players have younger grandchildren in the cast, maybe. Um,
A couple of the generic white guys are brothers because they both look like generic white guys. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, could
Um,
be. Yeah, there's Ellie and Ross having a moment. She's worried that she's been too quiet at the round table. And
mhm.
yeah, I wonder, oh, is this a cozy chat between a couple? And she does acknowledge, eventually, of course my name's going to come up. People are going to come round and look at me. It's inevitable. And she uses this phrase, which I feel is just a happy coincidence. She
Yes.
says, in Miv, they'll question whether you're just sitting watching as a kind of secret traitor. And lots of people have picked up on this. Oh, she's just outed
Yes.
herself. She's the secret traitor. I am. And some people wonder, oh, does that mean actually the faithful do know there's a secret traitor? And I think it is just a coincidence. I think she
Yeah.
just
Some have even
happened
suggested
to
the
pick that
editors.
phrase.
Yeah. Some have said the editors screwed up by leaving that in. And I'm like, no, they're not going to screw up that badly. And so I think, yes, like you said, it's I mean, to the faithful, any traitor is a secret traitor or
Yeah.
secretly a traitor. I think the producers were just rubbing their hands in glee when she happened to say this.
Yeah.
And it tells me there's no way she actually is. It actually eliminates her as a possibility for me. Funny, but yeah, any lingering doubt that I had was removed when she said that.
Yes, I'm on the same lines. Ellie and Ross have a final little whisper about Stephen. Ross is, yeah, he's very suspicious about him, but doesn't want, wisely, I think, doesn't want to be the only one to vote for him just yet.
Right.
They both agree, yeah, let's just wait. It's too early. You would have to wait until more people are on that train with you. But it is interesting to me that, yeah, Stephen there's a little bit of heat bubbling under on him already. I thought Stephen was going to go really far. Maybe he is. But a few people have mentioned
What?
him
Are
this
you
episode.
kidding me? There's no way that a traitor could have suspicion on them and have other people saying they want to wait to go after them and then make it all the way to the end. There's no way that could happen, especially in the UK. No way.
No, no, of course not. Uh, it's time for what might normally be bedtime turret, but no, a change. There's a secret mission. Stephen and Rachel arrive to the confessional room. They receive their letters. I wondered if it was a murder in plain sight straight away. Not quite. The letter says, "Dear traitors, tonight there is no murder. Instead, you have the chance to take back control from the secret traitor. You and your fellow traitor must shortlist 9
Okay,
players for
I'm going to
murder."
stop you there. Did it say fellow
I don't,
traitor or fellow
well,
traitors?
it says traitors plural. I've just
Yes.
edited it here, but yes, I'm glad you said that. I think this was just a sort of stock letter ready to go
Yes.
that they maybe didn't realize actually there was only going to be, there was going to
Well,
be a
I think
banishment
so
already.
too, which, later will, well, or right now, either way, there's been discussion like, oh, was it always planned as soon as one traitor went out to do this? And I think the answer is no. They always planned to do it in episode 3, and that's why the stock letter says your fellow
Yeah,
traitors, and they didn't have time to go
to
white
change
out
it.
the S on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I spotted that too. So and I just sort of changed it for myself here, but yeah, I remembered that. They have to shortlist 9 players for murder using the family tree. There's an ink pot with red ink hidden nearby. Dip their finger in, mark the players they want to shortlist, and if they're successful, they will be united with the secret traitor tonight as equals. I I'm surprised and not surprised. I guess I didn't think it was coming at the end of episode 3, and it kind of isn't. It won't really be episode 4. But I think in episode 1 of this podcast, I said I don't think this is going to go beyond episode 4 or 5. And I mean, we may as well talk about it now. What did you think, David? How long did you think Secret Traitor was going to last?
I really hadn't thought that much about it. I thought it would, I guess I figured it would last longer.
Okay.
But like I said, it's clear they meant to happen now, in part because this is the perfect cliffhanger spot.
Yeah.
People will now be talking about it for days
Right.
instead of just 23 hours.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's better for them, better for creating buzz. And it's I thought at first, oh, that's an awful quick to end it. But if it went on much longer, I probably would have said, oh, this is dragging on too long. And now I know we have at least one question in the Q&A podcast, so I'll hold off on giving more thoughts till then. But yeah, I think it's right about now is the appropriate time because, like I said, if they waited till episode 6, you're halfway through the series.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and yeah, we definitely will talk about this in our bonus episode up next, where we address all of your thoughts and theories and questions. So yes, I have further reasons why I'm not that surprised. It's around about this time this was going to end. I know, a lot of people thought it would be Secret Traitor all the way to the end, and even if the Secret Traitor got found, they'd be replaced by another one. I never thought that would happen.
No.
So Rachel is desperate to find Stephen alone, of course. She thinks maybe they'll use the Latin excuse to do this because Stephen has been talking about some Latin that he remembers from school. They can go and pretend they're deciphering it. I'll also take this moment to say, in the previous episode, I talked to Magiker, my co-host, about this, and I said, oh, I found a translation, and I read it out. Since then, I've seen like 2 or 3 other totally different translations of that sentence. So maybe totally ignore the one that I found last time. I'm not even going to bother reading out the new ones. Who knows what it says. But well, if it's relevant, we'll find out in a future episode, I'm sure. However, Reese is really not giving Rachel and Stephen their time alone. It's all becoming a bit desperate. Stephen is even wondering, is it worth it? Should we even bother trying to attempt it? This is going to really make us stand out. This is so risky. Eventually, they head out, all three of them, to the family tree picture and then get rid of Reese by pretending to want to talk alone. So, they're going to have to prepare a fake reason later to tell him why they wanted to talk alone, if it comes up, which surely it will. And B, if everyone tomorrow discovers the red fingerprints, Reese surely is going to say, oh, they were in front of this picture last night, just the two of them, and they made me leave. So this could be a big problem. And a few listeners have sent this in messages saying, I think this is big trouble. Why did they do this?
Well, just wait till Amanda gets her fingerprint dusting. Line you all up.
Yes. And Harriet, the crime writer, should be loving this.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen even he talks about this very thing. He's like, Reese now knows we're here. What are we going to do about it? And Rachel sort of dismisses it. It seems like she reckons that regaining control is more important. She's really worried about who is this secret traitor. What if she calls them a wild card? What if they're or a live wire or something like that? I don't know I don't know what you think. If I was in their position, I think I would be more on Stephen's camp. Like, I do not want to be caught doing this.
I would have waited rather than being so urgent that you literally shoo Reese away. Because later they had time by themselves later, where eventually Rachel did it while Stephen stood watch. Okay, that was significantly later from what we saw. They left, other people came around, So I think it was the shooing away of Reese that was the big problem here.
Yeah. And they're whispering together. Of course, they cut in lots of shots of what looks like people almost discovering them. Probably isn't. It's just clever editing. And they make a promise to get to stick together until the end. And Rachel even says, 2 traitors have never won this together. I'm sure there is a version somewhere around the world where that absolutely has happened, but in UK that hasn't happened. And eventually they get their moment where no one is really walking by. Like you said, Stephen is on watch. Rachel does it, dab, dab, dab. She gets to the kitchen like Lady Macbeth. She is washing the red off her hands. It's all very tense and exciting.
I did think that was clever, grabbing a glass to go wash the dishes. Like, do they normally wash their own dishes in the castle? That did make me wonder that,
Yeah, maybe if I don't know, for drinks. I'm sure the dinner plates and lunch plates, crew are doing that for them. And we do get to see very quickly who she puts the fingerprints on. So I went back, paused and checked. The names on the list then will be Stephen himself, Faraz, Sam, Jade, Amanda, Reese, Jack, Maz and James. That's a lot to remember. At midnight, off we go. We head to the turret. Claudia reveals that, yes, they've been successful. They will meet the secret traitor tonight. Clearly there's a cliffhanger coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Rachel and Stephen reflect on Hugo's banishment. They're actually both quite relieved. They talk about having this Celtic connection. Northern Ireland and Scotland are going to stick together, trust each other all the way. And Rachel says, Stephen, you are on there. They agreed that they would put him on it. She hurried through the rest of the names. We don't really see them talking about lots of other names. I don't know if they did.
She basically said, with 9 names, there's bound to be someone we want to murder. I just need to get the names on there. So I think she was smart. Just who cares? We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, definitely. And they talk a little bit about their predictions for Secret Traitor. They basically think the murder shortlists haven't really helped. I know they have said before now they think it points to a woman, but it really doesn't. And it hasn't narrowed it down in any way. And Rachel says to Stephen, whoever walks through the door, we don't need them. Lots of slow-mo shots. Red cloaked secret traitor is on the way to the turret. Oh my goodness. Knock at the door. Stephen says, come in. Which just really made me laugh.
Yeah.
Like they were going to just wait forever until
Yeah.
someone invited them. The door opens, episode ends. It's so dramatic and exciting. Oh my goodness.
And
This
totally
is really
unpredictable.
totally. Who knew it was going to end there? And this is really our final chance, then, David, to predict who do we think is the secret traitor. I think I'm just going to stick with Harriet. I've got a couple
Yeah.
of runners up. My dark horses are. Weirdly now, Jade, I know that we saw Jade telling Claudia she wanted to be a faithful, but we had a listener theory in the last episode. Maybe we're going to cut back to that. And actually, Jade, they've tricked us. Jade goes on to say, but also, I would be a good traitor. We were fooled. And yeah, she's a gamer. She's strategic. It would make a good pick for production to have someone like that. And Jade voted for Amanda tonight. I wonder, was she trying to protect Hugo because she wanted to join up with the main traitors? Could also be Jessie. Jessie's my other one. She could be playing this masterful disguise, when she's talking to Ross. You've been framed. Guess what Ben said? But Jessie was there. Maybe she's the one pulling all the strings. I don't know. It would be great if it was. David, are you were nodding along? Is it Harriet for you?
No, I'm sticking with Amanda. I gotta,
Okay.
stick with that. You've made a good case for Harriet, but yeah, I'm going to stick with Amanda.
Okay, great. Now, the next murder is probably near impossible to guess. We had 9 names there. Out of those people, I would just pick one of the quieter ones who hasn't had any heat at the round table. For me, that's Faraz, Maz, or Jack. So I just wonder if the traitors do the obvious thing, pick someone who is unlikely to be banished. Most of those other players are maybe a bit more vocal, have had a couple of votes here and there.
Well, is that short
David,
list? Are they going to murder tonight or in the next night?
yeah, it'll be the one after. Sorry. Oh, so we could wait until next time to
Right.
predict, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Next banishment. Any predictions for that one?
I I mean, I do think Amanda is going to come under some more fire at the next round table, but I don't think she'll be the next one banished. I think it'll be someone like Reese.
Oh, okay. Why Reese?
I picked a name.
Random white guy who
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
a lot about getting a shield.
yeah, pretty much. I just think that, a couple people voted for him last time, I believe. So didn't they? Let me
Okay.
see here. Jack voted for Reese.
Yeah.
James voted for Reese.
Okay.
So at least there's a seed planted there
Okay.
for that possibility.
Yeah. I have no strong inclinations here. Stephen is starting to gather a little bit of heat. We saw Ellie and Ross talking about him, but they were going to wait. I'm impressed if a traitor went out again by episode 4. Maybe Sam. Maybe Sam is doing too much. She's starting to irk people. I'll go with Sam. Yeah. We are not quite finished with episode 4 of Traitors UK because we're going to move on to discussing your questions, observations, hot takes, theories in our bonus Q&A episode right after this. And of course, David and I will be concluding the Traitor Traitor to try and uncover what we both lied about in this episode. Right now, David, you mentioned briefly at the beginning that you are covering different shows and you post clips online. Tell us more about those and where we can find you.
Yes, I am all over social media and reality TV podcasting. Of course, I will be back here every third episode of the Traitors UK each week, and for every episode of the Traitors US beginning, well, this coming week. I was going to say next week, but it's this week. We're already to that point where it is this week. I will have a very special guest that is planned for episode 1. And then, all the guests are special, but then for episode 1, and then we will go from there. It'll be broken up interestingly because the way they're dropping them is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe is how they're doing it. So some will be combined, some won't be combined. In addition, I, of course, as you mentioned, I'm doing TikTok and YouTube videos where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. Of course, right now, most of the videos are about the Traitors UK or looking ahead to the US. I pretty much finished my Survivor 49 videos, but we'll be posting some about the also upcoming Survivor 50 and Beast Games restarts on Wednesday. So I'm sure I'll have videos about that as well. And I almost forgot, I'm going to try doing mini Y Blank Lost videos for the Traitors US coming up, and we will see how that goes. If there are actually reasons we can suss out for them losing, which sometimes there really aren't with that particular show. Yeah. And I was going to mention this as a final thought. Also, I still can't believe I posted a video about how well Hugo was doing an hour before the episode aired and he tanked his game. But yeah, it happens. And, so yeah, you could find all of my accounts at Linktree/David Bloomberg.
Yes. And for your the Why Blank Lost vids for Traitors US, will it be focused on the player who was murdered or banished?
Each person will get their own.
Ooh, okay.
So yes,
okay.
after week 1, I'm going to have. I mean, there's probably. Usually, I feel like nothing happens in episode 1.
Yeah. So maybe
but
4 or
but
5.
I'll probably have 4 to do right away, which makes me feel like an Australian Survivor season because they click through them pretty quickly there. But yeah, they'll be spread out a little bit.
Great. And all of David's links are in the episode description, really easy to find. To make sure you're up to date with this podcast and Traitors news and updates, occasionally little videos from me, you can follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. And again, I'm trying to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram because that means I can go live again if I have that many. I think we will get there. Already lots of new people following, which is fantastic. Thank you so much if you've done that. You can send me your questions there on a DM and a comment, or you can email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com or leave a voice note at memo.fm/thetradarpodcast. We have many of these questions from you guys coming up in our next episode. It's also really helpful, as always, just to subscribe, follow, leave nice reviews, star ratings on any of the platforms that you're using. It's super helpful for the podcast. I just dropped my phone. That's what that noise was.
Okay.
It's really helpful. If you want to support the podcast, show off your love for the Traitors and the Trader by acquiring
Buy Matthew a new phone.
Buy me a new phone, which is now smashed on the floor. You could buy a Trader phone case, which will protect your phone if that happens at thetrader.redbubble.com. They really do have phone cases with our logo on it. And if you have been listening and enjoying and you want to just help us keep going without buying merch, you could visit ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley, and you can chip in a donation of any amount you feel like without having to subscribe to anything. I mentioned Adele last time, who was kind enough to send a lovely contribution, and I made a joke and said, oh my goodness, what if it's the Adele? She could phone and sing to us about the Traitors. Adele then has heard that, left us a little comment on YouTube saying, hey, this is Adele from Coffee. Thanks for the hilarious shout out. Alas, I can't sing. But I think Adele may be a secret traitor, and it is her, and she can sing. So if you want to send us a singing message, go ahead. Stay with us for our follow-up episode. We're going to address your questions and discussion points and do our Traitor reveal. Until then, laters, traders.
And stay traitorous.